Alright, so my original plan was to take this piece and trim it on both sides to fit into the truck and then weld it in place. And the more I look at it, the more that's not really feasible. And so what I'm probably going to end up doing is cutting out these spot welds, separating these two pieces, welding the inside piece in place, and then welding the outside piece in place. And yeah, that's going to be a bit tricky. But, you know, I think I'll have a better chance of success that way than trying to trim all this to go in at once and weld it in place. So, to that end, I went and got my spot weld cutter. You can get these at Harbor Freight. I think it's a 2-pack of these, or maybe it's just one, I don't remember, but the blade can be flipped over if you wear it out. Basically just drill a pilot hole, and then this cuts a nice, it's basically a little hole saw for spot welds. So you drill a hole through the middle of the spot weld, and you then use this to cut around the spot weld. And then once you get all the spot welds cut, you can just separate the two pieces. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to get done. But, you know, I need to make some progress on this, and I haven't been making any progress the last few days. If nothing else, if you have it mostly cut, whenever you go to split these apart, you have a place where it's going to break before it breaks anywhere else. So I'm not really concerned about getting all the way through that top layer of metal. When you're tightening this into your chuck, remember there's teeth on the back side of it. And we'll see if we can get this split apart now. Not the recommended tool, but then you'd be surprised how well this works with a lot of things. Yeah, you can see as soon as I split that one, I don't know if you can see that, but as soon as I split that one, these two came apart. This one's apart. That one on the end is still together. So, I've got it split apart all the way there. I just got to do the rest of this now. I'll have these two pieces apart. If you're not learning something new every day, you're not trying. As I was splitting these with the paint scraper here, it wasn't punching through on some of them. And I realized that center part here that's not cut whenever you cut it was hanging up the paint scraper. It'll go in so far and hits that raised section in the center and it won't go through. But if when you're putting this in, you flex it back like this, it'll flex around that center part and make it through, usually. So I almost had a couple of these cut all the way through, and I still couldn't get the paint scraper in, but whenever I flexed it, it split right between them. So I'm down to just a handful of holes here to do, and I'll have this split apart. All right, I now have two separate pieces. Double the fun to slice myself with. Alright, so here the piece is. You can see I marked out where I was going to cut this to trim it to fit, but I'm realizing now as I get this in here, you can see I've got both pieces cut and kind of spliced in. This is lining up with the dome light hole, so I know that the inside piece is correct, and the outside piece is pretty close to correct. But I just have it here for fitment. But I'm realizing if I cut out a section here in the middle, I can slide these two pieces in and they'll cover these two gaps, because the cutouts are about here and somewhere in here on this side. So I've got plenty of room to move these in to fill in these patch holes, so I won't have to do a whole bunch of crazy patchwork. And the contours aren't too bad to where it's not going to fit if I have to slide it in. I don't think. We'll see when I get closer. This stuff can all be bent out a little bit if need be. But I think that's going to work real nice for welding that in. I just got to get after it and do the work. And I think I got real lucky here on the inside. You can see I was kind of worried the rust went too far out. But this covers that end all the way out to the end where that rust is. So I am going to trim this piece back to about here, because that's where the cut is underneath. I'll actually get it, I'll cut it back to about here first, and then I'll work my way back until it butts in nicely. But I'm going to take it slow and easy and try to get that piece cut in real nice to where it fits perfect. And I'm going to weld this piece first, and then I'll come out and weld the outside piece. You'll note that I had markings on here where to cut, and I went well outside of them for the time being. This one I didn't, just because it's right there at the end. I didn't have much to trim on that. But we'll see how close this gets me. And it's just going to be a matter of using the flap wheel then to thin this out and get it down to where it needs to be to fit in there. Alright, so I'm just kind of holding this up in here right now, but I can see inside here. I don't know how well you can see that. If I stick my finger back in there, I've got about a 1/2 inch gap. And I kind of figured that's what I had, but that's where I want to be. I want to sneak up on this. So far it's looking really good, and I'm losing my light, so I think I'm going to stop there for the day. I'd really like to get Roscoe to the point where I can start reassembling stuff.